Well, thank y'all for making the time to be here. It's 7 on the dot, 7 Eastern time rather, and it is June 16th of 2026. And this is one of our biannual, twice a year, brief SEIC meetings where we can check in and move a few things forward throughout the busy season without having one of those full 6 to 8 hour day meetings. And so if you will take a look in the chat, it has the meeting agenda for those that haven't taken a look at that quite yet. And we have two motions currently under old business that were submitted by the timeline that we will vote upon tonight. And then others, if we have time for new business, but you will vote using the spreadsheet that is right there in the chat as well. So I suppose this is the call to order. And I would love, there's a couple new people here who haven't been here in a while, or who are voting as proxy for someone else. So if everyone would take 60 seconds to introduce yourself, say what committee or interest you're here to represent. And let's see. Something you like about summertime. Aside from paddling, it has to be something else. So Jess, you're first on my screen. You go first.
Cool. My name is Jess Lewis. I'm the chair of the rafting committee and also an instructor for the Swiftwater committee. And something I love about summertime is flowers in the alpine. I feel like you asked something else, Kelsey, but those are the only two things I remembered in that moment.
That's lovely. Yeah. Well, hey, Mike, you're next on my screen. Go right ahead.
I like dawn biking.
Dawn? Like early morning dawn?
Early morning biking. Yeah, warming up. Biking. Yeah.
All right. And Mike, what role are you in here today? I think.
What role am I?
Today,
yeah, right.
You're at large. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Susan, you're next on my screen.
What I like about summer is the wildflowers. We have lots and lots of pretty flowers that come up here. What I don't like is this tropical depression we're about to have.
Where's here?
Houston, Texas. About to get pounded.
All right. I'll take cover. I don't know. Wear a helmet, whatever. Jim, you're next up on my screen. You're on mute. Jim, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. My name's Jim Coffey. I'm the chair of the Safety and Rescue Committee. Currently, what I like about summer is I just went from having almost not enough water to run one of my courses to almost having too much water to run one of my courses overnight. So similar tropical depression situation. And I'm on the call from the state of Veracruz, Mexico at the moment.
Great. All right. Thank you. John B.
Hi, I'm John Browning. I'm here representing the Universal Paddling Committee as well as the Coastal Kayak Committee. And what I like about summer is the water is warming up and almost don't need a dry suit.
Somehow silly. All right, John. God bless you for being up there in the cold north. Yeah. Patrick, you're up next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Patrick. I'm at the moment chair of the Packraft Committee. And what I do like at the moment this summer, just seeing how the bees fly out and come back and starting producing honey because they had a hard winter and now they're really busy.
All right. Thanks, Patrick, for being here at whatever crazy hour it is over there where you are today.
1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. We're going to go quick for you. Go to bed.
No problem. I'm fine.
Okay. Robert, you're up next.
Robert Kaufman, and I'm treasurer of the organization and board representative. And what I like about summer is actually my backyard. Couldn't ask for a nicer backyard that overlooks Mount Savage and 20 miles up the back of the mountain, and the hummingbirds and the not the hostas, but the daylilies coming in and so forth. So I enjoy my backyard thoroughly.
That sounds lovely. Robert. Well, hey, Trey, you're up next.
Hey, my name is Trey Moore from the NOLA Chucky. I really like my dog swimming in the river in the summertime. He does it like twice a day, every day. He's super stoked.
That's lovely. Trey, who are you representing today?
Yeah, I'm the vice chair of the River Kayaking Committee, so I'm standing in for Ann Sonheimer today. She is in Gates of Lodore.
Okay, thank you for being here. Hey, Jeff, you're next.
Hi, I'm Jeff Oxenford out of Golden, Colorado. I'm the vice chair of the canoe committee, and I like just putting on shorts first thing in the morning.
Sounds nice. Thanks, Jeff. Robin, you're up.
I'm Robin Pope. I'm chair of the Intro to Paddling Committee and Secretary of Safety and Rescue. And what I like in the summer is the road that goes to my house is like going through a forested tunnel.
Cool. Thanks, Robin. I appreciate you being here. Melinda, you're up.
Hi, Melinda Morey. I'm chair of the Surf Kayak Committee. And favorite thing about the summer is fruit. I live in quite an agricultural area in Oregon, and the cherries are coming out, and it's just an awesome time to be alive.
Lovely. Thank you, Melinda. People have moved around. Kyle, how about you?
Right, I joined late, so what was the prompt?
What's your name, what group you're representing, or what interest you have, and something you like about the summertime?
All right, so I'm Kyle. I am with Trey representing from the River Kayak Committee. And in terms of summertime, I think it's really pretty in the Pacific Northwest. You know, it's like we have such a pretty summer. The sky is clear. We have a lot of sun during this period of time, whereas the rest of the year isn't so sunny. So it's just very recharging. You can see a lot of people energized.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, Kyle. I appreciate you. Rachel, are you there? Maybe? Yeah, there she is.
Sorry, just getting home. My name is Rachel, chair of the Stand Up Paddleboarding Committee. And my favorite summertime activity is going in the backyard with the porcupines, listening to the frogs, and looking up at the stars.
If y'all don't know that Rachel has porcupines, you should ask her about that sometime because it's fascinating. Thank you, Rachel, for being here on your way home from work or from wherever. Wayne, are you here? Okay. Oh, there you are.
Yes, hi. Wayne Duchkoff. I'm on the Universal Paddling and the Coastal Kayak Committee. I'm just here because I like to find out what's going on. My summers living in Florida, I love the road trips up north, finding places where I can kayak and camp at night in sleeping weather without air conditioning.
All right. Well, I do think you have to get out of Florida for that one. But thank you, Wayne, for being here. And not too many people show up just because they're curious what's going on. So props to you. Thank you. Francesca, can you hear us? Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. So Francesca Hebden, I am the secretary of the Paddle Sports Fishing Committee, and I'm stepping in for Joff because he's doing something today. I don't know, but he had me as a proxy today. So favorite thing about summer are fresh strawberries and the fact that the days are so much longer, and you have wonderful thunderstorms that create beautiful rainbows.
Thank you for being here on Joff's behalf, but also just being here at all, Francesca. We appreciate you. And Tommy, you're my last one. Tommy, can you hear us? Maybe?
Yeah, I got you. How's it going, Kelsey? Awesome. Hey, I'm Tommy, and I am a at-large member of the executive SEIC committee, and yeah, excited to be here. I guess favorite thing about summer is just longer days, more time to do stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's my favorite. Oh, Rachel came back. Well, thanks again, all y'all, for introducing yourselves and saying hi to everybody. I was chatting the other day with Mike about how we sometimes miss the in-person SEIC meetings, not necessarily because everybody had to travel to some random place, but because we got to eat lunch together and sit down and hang out and walk around. And I miss that. And some of y'all who I've never met in person, that's a bummer. So I'm just really excited to see you here anyway. A quick recap before we move on. The meeting agenda is in the chat, as is the voting spreadsheet we'll be using this evening. So please pop those things open. Let's see. In the agenda, you can also find links to our parliamentary procedures and operating procedures that govern the way that we host these meetings, a link to the spreadsheet that we're using to vote, and the SEIC policy manual as well. You can also take a look at these things from the CMS. There's a tab on the left-hand side that says SEIC meetings. So within there, you can see all the details of this meeting and all of the committee reports that everyone has submitted there. So I just wanted to say one last thing before we move on. The ground rules, if you would like to ask a question or give some feedback, try to raise your electronic hand so we don't talk over one another too much. And get to the heart of whatever it is that you're trying to say. And then if we get way too off track, we'll start setting time limits for discussion and comments from each person so we can make our way through the agenda and get to all the things that we need. So we're a touch ahead of time in our agenda. I guess, let's flip-flop a second. So I'm going to wait a few more minutes just in case anybody joins us late to give my report, which is really brief. But if those who are here representing a committee would like to give a minute overview of what your committee has done or any notable questions, comments, projects, anything like that that you want to say or offer up, you need help with something, you need some input, have a say. But also all these reports are uploaded in CMS and you can read them at any point. So go right ahead, anybody who would like to say something on behalf of it. John, please go right ahead.
Yeah, I did not submit written reports. Don't have a lot to report from the Universal Paddling Committee, as well as the Coastal Kayak Committee. We both have been working on some goal setting for this term. And right now, I think we're about ready to really kind of put the head to it and actually come up with some goals in the next meeting or two. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate it. Robin, please go ahead.
I'm going to keep my video off so I don't drop out. From the intro committee, we've been looking at discussions about how to better clarify the venue for introduction to paddling courses, particularly looking at what does swimming distance to shore mean. And then the second thing that I want to let everybody know about, at the last SEIC meeting, there was discussion about challenges for getting CPR and first aid training. I reached out to Emergency Care and Safety Institute, which is one of the four largest training organizations in the U.S. And Jim may talk about this also, but we're working on a water-based first aid course that addresses specific water-related issues. And it looks like we'll also have a cross-certification process so that if you are an ACA instructor, you would not have to go through the ECSI instructor process. You'd still have to get checked off in what they teach and use their teaching resources, but you would not have to go through a separate instructor qualification program. We will keep you both myself and Jim will keep you informed as that moves along.
Thank you, Robin. That's pretty monumental, I'd say. So all the stuff that y'all have done to work on that is really darn cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Jim, please go ahead.
Yeah, and apart from that, with work that our committee has been doing specifically related to drowning prevention and resuscitation, we were also just interviewed for an award that we've been nominated for called the Higgins and Langley Award, which is the most prestigious award in swiftwater rescue worldwide. Our committee years ago was a recipient for the first swiftwater conference that we ran in on the Tuckasegee. We have several of our members of our committee who are individual recipients, and now our entire committee is nominated again, and it seems quite positive that that the Safety and Rescue Committee will be recipients of a Program Development Award with Higgins and Langley, primarily for the efforts that we put in relation to drowning and resuscitation.
It was fantastic. I remember when those other awards came forward and some of the other people on the committee that have received them. That's way down cool. Thank you. Susan, please go ahead.
Yes, the Canoe Committee's been working on a lot of topics. Primarily, we were looking at how discombobulated our curriculum is. There's actually places in it where it talks about hand of God rescues and helping people escape from under the cockpit of the boat and things like that that are really messed up. But I'm asking Jeff Oxenford to speak briefly on the work we've been doing on our new canoe touring, and we're starting from the bottom up, basic. Well, I can look at it either way. Jeff, you talk about it.
Yeah, real quick, we're just starting a new touring curriculum, thinking probably L3, which is more the flat water track. And the touring curriculum is going to focus more on distance paddling, either with a full canoe or loaded canoe or not. We're more about wind, waves, things along that lines. We have put in the handouts our outcomes and our objectives for this. We're starting with our learning objectives and outcomes, and that's there, and it's out for comment. So if anybody would like to comment on that as we get going, then we'll define the specific elements of the curriculum next. That's it.
Thank you, Jeff, for being here and helping to articulate that stuff. I realize it's kind of a long time coming, but I really appreciate that y'all are taking a bite out of that.
Thanks.
Let's see, who else? Melinda, please.
Thanks. So in the Surf Kayak Committee, someone in our committee meeting the other day described the way that you learn surf kayaking as oral tradition. So we are aiming to introduce some things that are written so that we can have a better job of training new instructors in particular. So we are going to embark on putting together an instructor manual. And what I would love to ask of this committee, so it's great to have examples of things that have come out under the ACA, but more important is the process by which that happens. And so if any of you have experience with this and want to let me know, I'd be happy to reach out to you and take that next step on that. But I would love to just gain from anybody's experience before we embark on that.
Thank you, Melinda. That's another big project, but one that's necessary, certainly. Rachel, please go ahead.
Sure. So an update from the subcommittee. We launched, with the help of Casey and others in the ACA, the Paddle with a SUP Pro. So that is out for people to submit videos. So if you know any SUP instructors, please pass that on to them. You can find it on, of course, the ACA website. We're collecting videos through July 8th, and then the winning reels will be July 21st. So that's coming up. And then also we're working on our assessor guide. So we've looked at all the ones that are already out there. So thanks for the people who've already done that work, and then we are working to combine one. So we have a template that we are working through and then being able to add some more details. So that'll be a future motion when we have that ready. And just while I'm talking, an idea popped into my head just to throw. So Jim with Safety and Rescue, I was just educated on how to safely remove a life jacket from somebody who is unconscious. And that was a really cool technique. And I was thinking about the other day, I wonder if there is a video that's out there or could be out there to be able to share in a broader way with that part of education.
Just to answer that, Rachel, we do have a good video clip that we used when we sort of came up with that technique and started promoting Paddle Fest. And at the end, we'll exchange details and I'll send that clip to you.
Perfect. Awesome. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you, Rachel. Jess, please go ahead.
Sweet. I just want to say that I really appreciate hearing all the things that folks are working on, because so many of those pieces are also things the rafting committee is working on. And people are like a little bit up in arms in our committee, feeling like discussing things like venue selection and learning objectives for or learning outcomes for different curriculum is like a bit too much. And so I'm glad to hear that I can report back to my committee that other committees are also working on similar things. We think that it'll really just increase the professionalism and the credibility of the ACA. And so glad to hear that other folks are working on that. That's kind of our biggest piece right now, is that we're really working on a comprehensive curriculum overhaul, and that we've begun developing these like practical performance sheets and measurable assessment standards and all these things that we're trying to figure out, like how do we make sure folks come into our ICWs in particular ready for those courses, where it doesn't feel like a barrier to entry, but where we maybe have less circumstances where we get folks who are maybe an L2 paddler in an L4 instructor course.
Awesome. Jess, thank you. Francesca, please go ahead. Francesca, can you hear us? Okay. For the moment, Trey, go ahead.
Hey folks, just an update from the River Kayaking Committee. We have been steadily ruffling feathers for over 2 years now. And we're excited about it. We've done a lot of hard work with our skills assessment guide. We're getting a lot of really good reports coming back from folks using it in instructor courses, which was not the necessarily like intended use, but a great tertiary use of that document. And we see that we're pretty well set up to support the leadership and guide pathways with that assessment document, being that assessments are going to be required for those pathways. We've changed the entry level for new instructors from L4 to L3. We think that that's going to serve the curriculum and the program better. Like Jess was saying, we just want to have not barriers to entry, but a better filter. We're just trying to have better candidates come into courses so that the courses can be better, so that those candidates become better instructors for our students. One of my favorite lines that I think I got from Lydia Wing was like, I'm not here to be your advocate, I'm here to be an advocate for your future students. And I think that on the River Kayaking Committee, we've taken that really seriously. And so while we are ruffling feathers, we think that we are doing really good work for the ACA and the program. And we've taken a lot of cues from Coastal Kayaking, who came up with the first assessor's guide, and from other disciplines who had assessments required to enter instructor courses. So we're just catching up in some ways, and then also attempting to lead the charge in other ways. So if there's anything that we can do to support other disciplines or collaborate with other disciplines on some things, like, please reach out.
One little bit I want to add there too is
Kyle's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Trey. I just wanted to kind of mention this because it kind of can go unnoticed. We've tried to do a better job of connecting with our instructors, ITs, ITEs. We've talked about it for years, and I've been part of doing some surveys. So as much as people think I didn't reach out, I did reach out to people about the changes. And we knew that there was going to be friction. And I think it was really nice to kind of lead our discussion with being able to hear from those voices and those concerns, and also those potentials that we saw in it. I also hosted some Zoom sessions. So we're trying to do a good job of folks being aware of these changes, right? We're in this meeting, we understand these things, but there's a lot of people in our community who I think are craving to be updated on this stuff. And we're trying to do a better job of that. I've had a lot of praise come through some of those channels. I've also had a lot of heat checks in some of it, like posting to social media about these things. But at the end of the day, like, we're creating a connection and allowing people to voice that pleasure or this displeasure. And so happy to chat with other folks about it, about how we've kind of taken that on. But hopefully it's just creating that awareness and, again, making people feel heard. I know people still may not be feeling that way, but if you choose to not participate in the stuff I'm doing, then there's not much I can do, but other than to provide the opportunity. So that was it for that. Thanks.
Well, thank you for jumping in. And I wanted to say to you and Trey, and if she was here, is that I can tell that y'all have done a better job of connecting with your people, because I have not heard a ton of complaints. I know there's a lot of people that have very strong opinions, but it hasn't really reached me.
You want some?
No, I have enough of those from everyone else. But what I'm saying is I can it's a noticeable difference than perhaps when Coastal initiated their level prerequisites 10-ish years ago.
Mm.
That was a huge backlash that like every time I pick up the phone, it was somebody complaining about it. And I don't have that now. So
That's good to hear. I appreciate that someone else went through that because at times it has been hard to be transparent, to be that voice, and to take some of that heat and be like, I'm just trying to inform you of these things. But at the end of the day, the fact we're having that discussion is good, right? They're not going to, no one's going to agree. And that you'll get to see some of this data later on in the motion I have. But thank you. Thank you. That is very empowering because it is not easy to want to continue to do this for free.
Yeah, and I was going to say that even before you jumped in. So I just wanted you to know that I can tell.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Patrick, please go ahead.
Yeah, just want to shortly update what's going on in the PACAF committee. After several discussions, we decided now to launch touring pack rafting. The reason is that we realized that 50% of sold boats, as example from Alpaca Raft, are 60 plus people, and they go on lakes, and smooth rivers, and we have no curriculum for that. So we decided to make a copy paste of the canoe curriculum, the new one, which we got the permission, and then we worked that for the packraft. Also, what we realized now slowly, L5 is needed out there, so we do work on the L5 curriculum, which will be sent to the SIC in fall. And then I need help from the SIC because we do not have ITs and ITs in L5 and instructors, and we have to find a way for spring 2027 to do somehow a symposium where we can issue IT, and instructor L5. But I will reach the SIC as soon we pass in fall the L5 and we got the OK. So that's what's going on at the moment.
Thank you. I was going to give you something, which is, I can find it here. Here we go. I'm putting a link in the chat here for you, which is the L5 rollout plan that happened with rafting some years ago. And so this is how they articulated how L5 was going to be launched for that discipline. So something like that is where you should start with a brand new level that doesn't exist yet and nobody who has that IT yet. So just read that a little bit later.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Jess, do you have something else to say? Is your hand still up from before? Okay. Francesca, can you hear us? Would you like to say something?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, let me find the gave me. So setting up a work group on our curriculum for a trip leader guide pathway. So we can for under the Paddle Sports Angler Committee. So just kind of get a head connect with that new certification out there. We're also setting up a work group to begin with the process of having an organized approach to marketing and creating exposure for our paddle sport angler program. And then we established a goal for all of the committee members to create and submit at least one reel for the ACA-wide competition on social media. And then we also started discussing the proposed changes in the teaching ratio from 1:5 to 1:6 for the level 2. So that is what the Paddle Sports Angler Committee has been working on.
Thank you, Francesca. It's really great to have an update on what y'all are working on. I see that ACA Board President Suze is here. I don't mean to put you on the spot, Suze, but if you would like to address the group or ask us a question, I'd love to give you an opportunity. You're on mute, Suze.
I did not realize I didn't have the link. I apologize for that. Sort of running like a crazy woman. I'm going to not say very much, really. The board is pretty active. We always are. And currently, this is the busiest time for everyone in the canoeing world. So we're a little spread out. Competition Council is sort of running down the road and is actually looking to create some cohesion with sort of groupings, age classes for masters and the rest of the age classes for non-masters across all the disciplines to see if that could help us to collect data. And they're looking to do also sort of adopt potentially the regions that the RAC have adopted and the states that they've collected under those. The competition council is currently working on trying to figure that out. The board itself is, of course, we quarterly review the financial data and monthly review it. We have a board meeting every month for which most of our board members attend. We have to be a little flexible with the athletes. We currently have an athlete who just won a silver and a bronze medal at the World Cup in Germany just this past weekend. It's very exciting. And our sprint athletes are on a little hiatus for another couple weeks, and then they'll be back to competing. What else, Robert? We're doing some analysis about potentially looking at creating a strategic fundraising committee on a board level, and we're going to start activating the strategic plan committee again. So if somebody has an interest, I really want to get back to the Trey that was here on that committee the last time. I haven't done that yet. And I think that's sort of it with where we are for the moment. The RAC has had really a great deal of success with the Kayak 101 program, and it continues to grow. And I'm very excited about that. I'm super excited about this idea of Robins, where potentially we will connect a first aid and is it a CPR class that y'all have to take in order to do the certification? And I've heard there's been quite a few new instructors that have joined. So I'm very happy about that too. You guys seem to really just always have so much on your plate, and I appreciate all the hard work that you guys put in. I know that it's really hard when you have a whole life that you have to make money going to work for, but I do appreciate all the time you spend with us in the ACA. So that's it from me. Anyone has a question, please always feel free to reach out or ask me here. Okay.
Thank you, Suze. It really means a lot that you come to these meetings and tell everybody what's up. And I think on behalf of everybody here, it's really nice to see people from the board come and see what's going on and ask questions. And it's just really darn cool.
And I think that everyone knows on the board that I stand for believing in balance. The strategic plan is very much about that. There's no one aspect of the organization that's to take over another aspect of the organization, but that does create some challenges for us. And we try very hard to continue to emphasize the importance of that balance, because we are all one giant family in the ACA, even though we are amazingly crazy, diverse, and different and unique. So yeah, I'm a really big advocate for that and proponent of that. And I will say that I have made it my mission since the day I went on the board was to learn as much as I could about the organization. And I'm trying to be as visible as I can to all parts of it. I don't think I always do it very well, but I'm trying. So thank you for saying that I'm super impressed with y'all. I really am. Far more talented than I am. I just want you to know.
Well, thank you, Suze. It means a lot that you're here. Thank you, everybody, for giving your updates and your comments about things. Please take a quick look at the agenda. We're going to do really quick before we move on to our motions and discussions. Is I'm going to give a really brief report kind of on the tail of the kind of data that I presented about active versus inactive, pending versus activated certifications back in February. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen really quick, just so that for those who would like, you can see it on the screen here as well. Okay, so this column, D, is from February, and this is from the collective month of May. So what this data is that I'm presenting to you here, again, we had a big issue and we still have it, but it's making progress here. There are lots of pending certifications within the CMS, which means they were never activated. Someone did not complete their course evaluation, did not upload their first aid, did not upload their CPR, or their membership was expired, or a combination of all these things at once. Okay, so this many, which is comprised of this many certifications and this many endorsements, that's the total, are pending, right? And so there's a total of that number of certifications that could be used if they were activated and everything was going on, right? And so since February and the prompts that came out of this meeting and the discussion, the breakout rooms that we had, Ben and I started a weekly almost email campaign that goes out to instructors who are pending, their certifications are pending, who have not yet paid their SEIC dues or their membership is expired totally. If they have an account issue, if they haven't turned in there's just a bunch of different things. We notify them every week about something if they fall into that category. And so I'm really pleased to show that in those few months, 726 people have activated their certifications since we began doing that. And so you can see these changes here. This to this, and then endorsements as well. We've gotten more endorsements that have been activated as well. And then I was going to say something else. Where'd it go? Oh, there are 980 fewer certifications pending now than there were in February. So that includes some people who have like a canoe tandem and a canoe solo at the same time, So my point being, this has made a notable impact. We also can see, I don't have the numbers for you right this moment, but we can see that reflection in the SEIC dues as well. For people who activate this, they are then billed for the SEIC dues. If they don't ever activate it, they don't get paid. They don't get billed for it, right? Down here, this reason for pending status, this was February's data, and this is May. So first aid and CPR, those things have dropped in terms of the things that are making people that are pending. We put picture instructions and step-by-step instructions how to do this, and a good amount of people have done it, right? So 1899 to 1146, 700 some people did it, right? So it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of this. And the same thing goes with CPR. Unfortunately, though, there are more people that are not completing their course evaluation, or as a percentage, less people are completing it. And as a percentage, less certified people are renewing their membership. This is not a huge jump, 0.3%, but it's still, I'm showing you the trends that I've found here. So again, there's a link to this spreadsheet in the agenda, which you can see right here. You can click on it. I put the link in the chat. You're welcome to view it at any time you want. I'm going to do one last little thing and then I'll answer your questions. Okay. There's a little bit more data down here that illustrates certifications that are activated each month. And I did this over a 3-year period, right? So for example, May of 24, there were 193, that grew to 202, and that grew to 240, right? So this is a direct impact of not only this email campaign thing that Ben and I are doing, but just like Kyle was saying, the efforts that everyone is making to reach out to people and express how to use the CMS and how to use this curriculum and how to make this worth anything. But all of these green blocks here are improvements on the years prior. And I think that's really cool. And the campaign started on February, I guess technically it's February 2nd. So our meeting was that day, but that's something else you can review. And then really quick, Suze, I thought you might be interested in this piece of info as well, that in 2025, there were 174 there were no guide certs, but leader certs that were activated during that year. And so far in this year, we've had 51. Again, we're still 6 months short and we've just barely gotten into the main season for most people. So that's just a comparison. It is what it is. I'm not going to make any conclusions about that right now. But we have 101. Oh, nope. As of today, 103 leader trainers that have gone through that process. And an additional, well, actually, this is 47 because 2 of those candidates were approved. So there you go. Like truly registered leader candidates. Those are people who filled out the registration form, have met the prerequisites. Yeah. Interestingly enough, right now, ITs and E's, we have 190 of those and 104 IT candidates. And that's going back a lot of years. And so I find this number and this number to be really cool. The fact that this many, I think about 90 some of these were existing ITs and Es that transitioned over into this. But some of them, I think maybe 10, are brand new leader trainers that came out of that process that were not ITs prior. And this is just a side note. We have 190 ITs and Es, but currently only 170 of them have current dues first aid and CPR. So 20 of them are not active right now. And down here, we have 108 ACA members who were strictly leader and guide members, meaning they joined for that purpose. They were not instructors before. 77 of those are currently right as rain. 20 of them owe their SEIC dues, and 11 of them owe their membership and their SEIC dues. And so I just wanted to make this note that this does not reflect the number of leader and guide certifications. It's just those who were not any other member type before. Does that make sense? Okay.
It's good.
So I just wanted you to know the growth going on in there. Anyway, so let's see. Jim, do you have a question about any of this stuff?
Yeah, more of a comment, Kelsey.
Okay.
As someone who teaches often in a second language, and navigating for many new candidates can be a challenge in a first language and harder in a second one, where some people's phones translate and they don't. I wonder why, we have first aid, CPR, waiver form, safe sport, and membership dues all in one box in one place at the bottom of someone's primary page of CMS. But then we have it as a bit of a mystery to then go and try and find where to pay your SEIC dues and where to find your evaluation or the evaluation that you need to fill out. So I'm wondering whether it would be to simplify that process if all of those were in the same place in that one box on the main page of someone's CMS at the bottom, then they would be able to very quickly navigate to that point to link them to wherever they need to go.
Gotcha. Okay, so the SEIC dues thing, I think I can do that. However, it's a little bit challenging because the CMS and the Sport 80 membership platform have a variety of touch points, and it's not as simple as just adding a new one. You have to trace this back to the other item, and sometimes people's membership and SEIC dues, one or the other is expired, but not both. And it will then, the more you add to that box, the more hurdles there are to activate the certification from that standpoint. I'm not saying not do it, but I'm just telling you there are some reasons why it was built that way. But I'm going to think about that and see how much time, effort, and money it will take to do that. The course evaluation, I don't think should go in that box, because once someone completes it, it no longer needs to be in the box. There's an alert that goes up on someone's dashboard that stays until they complete it. And so I think that's perfectly fine. But once they do, the alert goes away and it's one less distracting thing.
Sure, fair enough. It just seems, I think if you were going back to create all these platforms from the beginning, that you would think that if we're going to have membership dues in one place, that we would then have with that SEIC dues or any other payments. Yeah. So anyhow, just a comment.
Yeah, and can I make a comment right at this point, because this has come up actually in some on the competition side as well. The board is currently doing some analysis. It'll take months before a decision is made, but the reality is we're doing a really thorough analysis of the membership and how that would work, because it's very obvious that it's confusing to SEIC and confusing on the competition side as well for the competition license. So we're looking at what our options might be in the future for that. And because it's a good point. And I just want to point out, I acknowledge what you're saying. You're not the only person that's raising that subject within the organization, just so you know. So we're taking a look at stuff, but it'll take some while before we actually create some change.
Yeah, and Jim, if I could tell you, if I could go back to 2020 when the CMS was built, man, what would I change now? Anyway, we don't have time for that, but it is what it is right this very moment. But thank you for your comment. Kyle, do you have one?
Uh, Francesca was ahead of me, so.
She's had her hand up for like 20
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, a little bit of a tangent here. I mean, just because it's something I see in our region is folks take their class and then they just stop their affiliation with the ACA until they have to re-up because they need to continue working or whatever. This, and I think the easiest target for folks has been yearly dues and saying, why do I have to pay yearly dues? Effectively, I can keep my job teaching for my company because even if they fall off the CMS list that you pull up, I see that routinely across nearly 90% of people I work with out here is that they're like, that doesn't make me an instructor or not an instructor in their mind. And I just am wondering if there's a rethinking of is this need to transition to be a one-time fee which covers 4 years of coverage or 5 years or whatever? Obviously, it's a higher barrier in terms of upfront cost, but at this point, like people aren't paying it so often out here, and yet they're continuing to work. And I don't know. That model to me doesn't seem like it's working out here. People pay it once and then they're done. And I don't know if any folks are talking about that, if folks are experiencing the same thing. I mean, I just look every year after the ICWs, whose names pop up, and I just see it plummet. That just means that people don't buy in on it. And I'll tell you, the outdoor people who are employing these people don't require it. And I've talked to them. I said, hey, like you should be on this list, and it's important. You need to stay active. And they're like, paying dues does not make them able to work or not.
Gotcha.
Especially if they don't need insurance through the ACA. Obviously, they lose perks by doing it, but it doesn't seem like it's enough to merit that. And I just want to solve the problem because I feel like it's starving the ACA of well-earned support, financial support, and I just don't know what clever ideas there are because it feels kind of wrong.
Gotcha. Later on the agenda, we're going to talk about some of these challenges and have a couple more brainstorms. So we're going to circle back to that, but I
Cool.
appreciate it for bringing it up. Thank you. John B., go ahead.
I saw something today that made me question whether or not the course evaluation for leaders, trip leaders, was required for their certification.
Yes, you caught me, Don. Yes. So the course evaluation is not required for those right yet. It's an option. It's not required because we never developed a separate one that's actually aimed at leaders. It still says instructor, trainers, and instructor criteria. It still says all that stuff. It's not directly relevant. So we need to work on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Hold on one sec. I can't spell though. Thank you. I love that. Jess, please.
Yeah, thanks, Kelsey, for showing us all those different pieces on numbers and the improvement from our last meeting in February, March, whenever that was. And this might be something that we punt to later in this conversation, and so feel free to name that. Just thinking about those pieces that Kyle and Jim just brought up, and also as an instructor who often teaches in a second language, I feel like there could probably be some really great things that we could put into place or start putting into place for ACA members and ACA instructors in other countries. And I wonder, with Sue's being here on this call, like I wonder if there be an option going forward of like putting together a committee of folks who, teach in other languages or where our students aren't primarily English speakers and brainstorming on how to make this process more friendly. Because I think a lot of times those numbers are going to be people who are unable to navigate through the CMS system and they just get dropped by the wayside because they literally can't read the webpage or like pay. Like my South American students, like they don't have a way to pay for their dues because they don't have credit cards. So at any rate, if that could be punted, awesome. But just thinking that maybe there's room for a subcommittee. Jim, I apologize. I'm signing you up for more work over here. But
are you thinking one language like Spanish, or are you thinking two languages, or because South
Jim
America,
and I both
you have Portuguese, then you have Spanish, but
sure. Jim and I both teach in Spanish, but many of my students have also been from Italy, and they also struggle with the CMS. And maybe just in general of what are we going to do for students who English is not their primary language or a strong second language for them. I think there's a big ACA population in China too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has been an issue in
Same
China as
struggle.
well.
Yeah. So just something to consider, like maybe there's enough knowledge in this Zoom meeting that we could start pulling together some ideas on how to
This
make
might be
it
a good initiative
more
for next
friendly.
year. As one of your goals for next year to look at researching that and what our options are for a different language. Because I do a lot of stuff with COPAC, the Pan American Canoe Federation, and it's a challenge when you don't speak the language. I know it is. It's hard. So yeah, it would be a good thing for us to do it, actually. But how we do it, I have no idea yet.
Yeah, Jess, I completely agree. And this has been something that's been going on ever since I got here. And I want either a committee or just a loose group of people, whoever it is, to continue to brainstorm ideas, because right now I hate the like ACA is against me or ACA doesn't care about that thing kind of mindset. I get a lot of feedback like that, but it is cost prohibitive to change the CMS. It's written, it's coded in English, and it would have to be completely redone. It's not just like flip the switch with AI and it turns over. And so we've got to find some, at least in the interim, some other way, aside from just translating the whole thing. So anyway,
Yeah.
we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that after our motions. So thank you.
Sounds great.
I agree this is important. I just haven't yet found the way. Okay, so it is 7:52. Let's take 3 minutes to go get a drink of water or just take a deep breath, and then we're going to go into our motions. So please open up the agenda. If you need to refresh yourself on what these motions are about, please do that, and we'll come back and vote in just a couple minutes.
So while everybody's taking a break, I have a question. I think it was Kyle who has the idea about a 4-year membership. Would you want a only pay once every 4-year option, or an option where it tells you what your 4-year membership is, but it pulls that amount out every year for the next 4
So, I
years?
mean, what stands to mind is this example for me. I went and got my CrossFit level 1 trainer certificate in one weekend. I paid $1,000 for the 2-day course, and
Yeah.
that included the dues for maintaining working in CrossFit affiliation for the next 5 years. I didn't
Okay.
report any classes. I didn't do anything. It
Yeah.
just factored in all the things, kind of set it and forget it, right? I've done what I need to do, and I can check in with you in 5 years when I'm ready to re-up another thing. But we have a lot of dangling things that kind of keep people having to stay active with us. Like you have to maintain your ACA, CPR, or sorry, your CPR and your first aid. You have to report your 2 classes. And so there's just a lot of dangling things that I never had to do, a lot more maintenance. And I'm not saying I don't appreciate that stuff, but those are the things that lead people to one more reason to not continue it. And I just think the dues thing, it's the narrative is so strong, right? Why can I not work if I've earned a certification in the industry because I didn't pay my yearly dues with the ACA? I will tell you, there is not a single employer I've met so far
Right.
in the Pacific Northwest who requires you to pay your dues. They require you to have an active certification, which shows, on paper says, hey, I can teach until X years. They're on board with that. But paying dues every year, it's like, well, that doesn't mean I can or can't teach. And so if that narrative is there and the financial reasons that folks need to have that amount of money for 4 years for the ACA, then that means that money probably needs to happen at once. Obviously, it creates a cost factor, and certainly hitting someone 4 times as hard during a season when you don't make that much money, I get it. But the money's not coming anyway. So,
No, it's one of the things we've been talking about, right, Robert? We're really having a strong discussion, and it's now at a board level where this discussion is, can we make the membership more simple and more straightforward? Because it's too elaborate and it doesn't feel like it needs to be. I mean, we're going to have competition members and we're going to have SEIC members and we're going to have recreational members, like
Yeah.
just are. So what could we do to make that easier? We've been talking about this a little bit, the 4-year membership and what would be the likelihood of doing that. I love all this comment about all the different languages, and I definitely will have made a note to try and have a further conversation outside of this meeting about that for the record. Okay, I will not forget that. Because I think this is a very good point. And being that I have some family that works in high tech, I'm going to ask some questions about how to do that. So we'll see if what I can learn there.
I mean,
But I think this
think
could be a good initiative to try and see what we can put a committee together for this language thing. The membership is sort of directly on our radar at the moment. So that this was a great conversation, and that's why I wanted to ask that question. Can I
thanks for
ask you
hearing that.
something else, Kyle? Where in the Northwest are you?
I'm in Seattle.
Okay, so, ditto. So are you the guy that's over in Ballard by Golden Gardens?
You got me. You
Okay.
found me. You
Yeah,
know
yeah.
me where I'm at. So yeah, I mean, again, I see the narrative form on day, like on the during the ICW, and I
Yeah.
just know I won't see them on the registry. And I check all the time, and I've been trying to brainstorm. I've been trying to almost guilt trip and saying, hey, you know, the ACI is doing you a favor of splitting this payment system across 4 years, right? And maybe that's the way it is, hey, you can split this up across 4 years and you find some accountability there, or you like in that they're meant to have paid for it. So like you put them
Yeah.
on the hook, or you have a pay all at once option. So I just think I don't know what the creativity there is, and I'm just trying to poke it because it just to me it feels like what could the ACA do with that kind of money? And you know our ICWs are some of the most affordable things I've ever seen. I can't get my lawn mowed for the amount it like feels to per a daily rate. So
Yeah.
but I am aware of the cost prohibitiveness because Trey and I talk all the time about the things we're adding days, and they're stressing people out. Like, hey, this stuff's more expensive. So, you know, we got to be worth that amount of money. And that's something
Yeah,
we have to
and
earn,
I
but
think
we're
that
doing it.
this is really interesting, all this conversation that's happening. And I think you're going to find that Robert and I are going to loop back and have a further conversation with you guys, because one of our holdups is exactly that. We're afraid it might be too expensive for somebody to do a 4-year membership. But if we said what it was and it's prorated over time, that it automatically happens or something. There's a lot of logic there. I love this. Compare a 10-year membership to paying for a 10-year membership. It's one of the conversations we're currently having. Right now, you'll earn a lifetime membership if you've been around for 50 years, but could we also maybe have an option where you can buy a lifetime membership? So there's a lot of conversations that we're trying to have in regards to that, because I am very big about trying to move the organization forward into the 21st century, or 22nd or 24th, depending upon how you like to look at it. So, having the new Sport 80 system is one of those steps, and us being more cohesive and rethinking the way we're structured is all part of that. So I really appreciate all of this conversation. I really appreciate that we live in a world where translation to another language is possible. It's how we could make that translation happen that will become very important. And I don't know the answer to that, definitely, but it definitely is it's a really awesome question. I have to think about it all the time because I live in two worlds now. I live in a European world and I live in a South American world at the same time sometimes. So confusing. So thanks. Sorry, I've taken up all Kelsey's time here.
Not my time. This is
Stop
y'all's
talking.
time. No, you're great. Trey, would you like to ping pong up and that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to incentivize people to pay for a 4-year membership, we could discount it. Oftentimes when you're paying for, a bulk buy, there's some sort of discount. And I think too that the 4-year membership, maybe first starting as directed towards instructors and leaders and guides that have a 4-year certification, just makes it's easier for them to stay current if they just paid it up front. And yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to skin that cat, and we'll probably talk about it more.
Yeah, exactly. And I need to ask an ignorant question. Do you have to do your CPR and first aid every year and re-up it? Or it's every 2? Okay, thank you. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I appreciate the discussion about all this stuff. I can tell you, from years ago, and not recently, and certainly not during the time that Sue's and Beth and some of these other really great leaders have been around. But in the past, we didn't do this because it made our annual budget unpredictable. If people paid up front and then didn't pay for another 3 years, our income would go up, for those following 3 years. And so we have many more tools now, Sue's, to figure out those budgets and see those specific areas of revenue that we didn't have 15 years ago. And so that's why that didn't happen before. That doesn't mean
it's sort of the same constraint that we have with like the family membership concept, right? The world is a different place than it was 10 years or 15 years ago. So now technology is just advancing at such a rate that there are options now to start looking at other things. And what can we do? What makes it more straightforward, and what encourages someone to stay a member and be a member? So that's definitely it. This is all in the bucket of stuff we're talking about on a board level. So it's perfect. And it all makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all for all of this. This is a huge question. Why does someone want to be a member, and why do they stay? That is a never-ending question. We're not going to be able to figure that out tonight. So it's a touch after one. We're after 8. 1 minute after 8. It is halfway through our meeting. And if y'all are okay with it, I'm going to move on to motions. And so before we do that, I want to say that right now, there are 21 voting positions on the SEIC board. 20 of those are filled, meaning someone has been elected or appointed to those roles, right? And a quorum for us, according to our own operating procedures, is 40% of those voting members are present here to have a quorum. And so in this case, we need 8 and we have 13. So y'all, we do have a quorum. I just wanted to say that. So thank you. Okay, and so if you go down to, I guess, the bottom of the second page of our agenda, we have 2 motions that were submitted within the 45-day time frame that we require based on our operating procedures. So the first one here, this is motion 6-1, is to clarify the SEIC parliamentary procedures. This was put forward by the XCOM and Ryan. And so if you want to click on it, that will take you to your CMS where you can view the exact wording of this motion, but I'll put it on the screen here for you as well. And so the motion is that both old and new business motions, so ones that are submitted within the time frame, and those that come new to the table during a meeting, need to be submitted by SEIC committees, or a representative from that committee, right? And so the reason that this is coming forward is that our parliamentary procedures say that a motion can be made by an individual or a committee, and that a motion can be made at a meeting or before it, using an SEIC approved process, but that approved process hasn't really been put much into writing. And so this motion means to clarify that. This motion does not remove the ability for any SEIC member to make a motion. However, they have to have committee support / sponsorship, however you want to phrase that. So at least one elected committee knows about the motion, understands its implications if it's approved, and has the opportunity to discuss and support it, right? So this just means one individual person can't bring a motion that nobody knows anything about, and we have to completely pick it apart and dissect it during a meeting, right? So that's what this means. It doesn't actually remove any rights of any person, just clarifies the way that's going to go about. So does anyone have any questions about this motion, why it's here, what it means, anything like that? Okay. So this motion was brought forward by a committee, so it does not need a second. And Mike, please, do you have a question?
The issue is that any of us, as long as any of us on the SEIC committee are part of a motion, then the motion can go forward.
Yes. So
doesn't necessarily need to be the head of a discipline committee. Like I'm not.
It has to be a voting member of the SEIC board. Yes. So you Robert, at large, whatever, appointed people, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that if any ACA instructor or leader or guide or trainer is a de facto SEIC member, which is great. However, any person just coming forward with a motion during one of these meetings is not always productive use of our time. And
I got
so,
you. You answered me. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So what I would ask is if you go to the voting spreadsheet, this is motion number 1, which is column D of the spreadsheet. If you would please enter your choice, which is yes, no, or abstain.
Trey, go ahead and I assumed you're going to be the voting person, by the way.
Either way, if anyone has trouble with the spreadsheet or can't figure it out and wants to either put their vote in the chat or just say it out loud, I'll record it for you.
I'm for it.
Melinda, thank you. Got it. Francesca, are you still here with us? If you want, you can just come off of mute and tell me your vote on this one, if you would like. Jeff is currently.
Yes, Kelsey.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Trey or
Kelsey.
Kyle? Yes? Oh, I got you.
Kelsey, you can put me down as a yes also, Robin.
Thank you. Thank you. Pardon, I'm just going through each of these little things. Tommy, do you have a vote? Is he still here? I don't see him. Okay. He's not here. Apologies, y'all. And let's see. Trey, Kyle. Oh yeah, I see it in the chat. I'm so sorry. I can't do both at the same time. Thank you. I appreciate everyone who voted. This motion has passed and we can move on from this one today. Thank you. The next motion on our agenda today, motion 6.2, is brought forth by the River Kayak Committee, and I'd love to give them an opportunity to introduce it to you.
Well, I got you on this one. So, all right. So, let me share my screen because I am prepared today. All right. Oh, sharing is not turned on. I need to be able to share. Can I share now? Okay. Cool. Sharing is caring. All right. Let me figure out what the button is. How do I get the slideshow? All right.
Oh, holy.
Sorry, I'm working on it here. All right. Can you all see that? Right. So ACA River Kayak Committee, we're talking about instructor certification and endorsement workshops for river kayaking exclusively. So that's L2, L3, L4, L5, and then involving instructor certification and endorsements. It's in the motion, all of the things that are impacted. I want to just show you something because I think this is important that we represent that our committee and River Kayak Committee voted on this unanimously, but I want to make sure that you get the chance to see this data so you understand what kind of support we have and what kind of decisions are being made here. So when we look at level 2, I sent out a survey to ITs, ITEs 2, 3, 4, 5, and asked for how they would feel about if we were to go with this 1:6, 2:10 ratio. There's 3 potential avenues that we can end up with, which is where we're at today, which is a 1:5 and 2:10. There's a 1:6, 2:10 option, and there's a 1:6, 2:12 if you want to stay even with it. But in this case, the one I did propose initially and the one that initially passed with the River Kayak Committee is the 1:6, 2:10. So why are we doing it? Even numbers promote people getting to co-teach together. Also, pretty well industry-wise, industry has done a pretty good job at accepting 1:6 ratios. This is exclusively instructor certification, not skills courses, not assessments, just instructor certification. So you can see that we are erring on the side of positive about how people feel about level 2 going up to 1:6, 2:10. And I asked people directly of these options, which one are you going to pick? So the 1:6, 2:10, that's the most favored. And you can even see the 1:6, 2:12 is over for level 2. Going into level 3, you see the same thing, good satisfaction for moving up to 1 to 6, 2 to 10. Go into the examples, you see still 1 to 6, 2 to 10 being there, as well as some voices for folks keeping the ratio where it's at. But again, this speaks to where they feel if we were to make this decision. We go up to level 4, we do see a dip in people feeling, again, still slightly positive, but we do see an injection of some feelings here about it. So 1 to 6, 2 to 10, again, still errs a little bit on that side. And then when you go into the option, people prefer to go 1 to 5, 2 to 10 here. And then level 5, we have current ratios of 1 to 3, 2 to 6. And so our proposals were ignore the title, right? The proposal was 1 to 4, 2 to 6. So ignore what the title says there. It's what's in the motion is 1 to 4, 2 to 6. This is how they'd feel. You can see the highest satisfaction against it's 8 ITs, but you can see the appetite for increasing that from 3 to 4. And so against 1 to 4, 2 to 6. When you make good into the choices, 1 to 4, 2 to 6 is the highest for the ITs here. So you can see of level 2 seems like people are on board. Level 3 people are on board. 4 still slightly on board. We could keep it at 1 to 5, 2 to 10 if that makes sense. And then lastly, still increasing level 5 up. So for same data for endorsements, still seeing similar to level 2 and 3 that we saw positive, and then people again choosing 1 to 6, 2 to 10. So this revealed that people are supporting this increase, especially at those lower levels. And you can see as we get to the higher levels, the friction's more on that total number. So I don't see any data saying we should go with the expanded, doubling of the ratio, keeping the max of the courses staying the same, but the one IT ratio being the thing that we increase. Key themes that people support, is exactly what I said about tiered ratios, that a 6-to-1 ratio is indeed manageable, and opposition towards lifting the cap towards 12 people. So the proposals that I would say we can vote on it as is, with the suggestions being level 2, 3, 4, having a 1 to 6, 2 to 10 ratio, as well as endorsements. And then level 5 moving up to 1 to 4 and 2 to 6. Or the proposal I'm open to if people see the data and want to respond accordingly is the tiered model. So level 2, 3 would be 1 to 6, 2 to 10, and endorsements as well, 1 to 6, 2 to 10. Level 4 stays the same at 1 to 5, 2 to 10, and level 5 goes up from 1 to 4, 2 to 6. So those would be the two options that the committee is willing to accept, would be as is. Just kind of wanted to open up the floor, but you can see that we've asked our community how they feel about it. I've reached out to other committees to endorse this. If you're in a similar situation with similar ratios, we welcome that. But we are trying to proceed forward with this because it is not like every single sport is using the exact same ratios. So moving solely on this does still feel appropriate. So I'll kind of open it up for folks' questions. Hopefully the data helped you feel connected.
Kyle, I'd say please go ahead and navigate the questions. I don't need to do that.
Oh, Mike, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. From my, pretty deep and broad experience, I really try really hard to never teach a moving water course without an assistant. And I think as you move up that food chain, when you move into class 2 and 3 rapids, that it's even more important. You can only be one place at one time. And the more moving parts you have, the more difficult it is to keep track of them. So I would like to have some mention that at least it is strongly recommended, however you want to put it, that there be an assistant. I even have them, I try to have them at L2. I don't think I would do an L3 and I wouldn't do an L4 without having an assistant for an assessment or an ICW or even a skills course.
Okay.
So I don't have it rain on your parade. In canoeing, we have.
No, you're not.
Canoe has, 1 to 6 because they're all in a tandem canoe. So you have 3 canoes, you have 3 moving parts, and theoretically you have then one instructor to take care of that. anyway, and then as you move it up the food chain, that same thing is true. But for river kayaking, it's almost entirely solo. So, 6 people is 6 moving parts.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I mean, people could make that decision still with this rate. I mean, if you want to operate in that way, this doesn't restrict you from working in that way. I mean, I
no,
guess the only proposal would be, are you recommending a decrease in the ratio to make sure that that is indeed mandated as opposed to a judgment decision? So the ratio increase would still allow you to do that, but if you're wanting to mandate that, that would be a reduction in ratio. Is that what you're suggesting?
no, I'm saying keep the ratios the way they are written. I still
Okay.
won't change the way I operate. I think just adding to it, making it broader, it won't change the way I operate. So maybe it doesn't make any difference. But I just think that being thoughtful about the reality of being in with a group of people who may not be that well oriented because they're either there for a skills, well, no, wait, skills is out of it, assessments are out of it, but for an instructor certification, even for an instructor course. I think that the value of having the assessment that is now being required in river kayak certainly adds to that. So if
Mhm.
everybody's been assessed, then I would feel more comfortable. And I think
That's what this would imply. Would not launch
uh,
this prior to that.
I'll back off then. I don't think I'll change my ways. I'll always want to have an assistant with me.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be another instructor, but I'll back off. I just want to make that comment.
No, I think it's a good point, and I think the good thing is that we have the freedom to allow you to do that, and I think it would be just whether you want to mandate that or not. And certainly that's been something, because for me working in a skills class 1 to 5, that's especially why we didn't expand to that zone. It's a lot to work with 1 to 5 in some situations unless you have everyone be competent. So we've tried to restrict this is all folks who are going to have passed an assessment or in an instructor certification workshop, and we
Right.
feel like that's a lesser risk to be at. But it also opens the door for maybe we don't expand to 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, 2 to 10 for level 4 for the reasons you're suggesting is, it is an expanded amount of difficulty, and does that push beyond what is appropriate? I'm kind of leaving that open for that reason. So I appreciate your comments, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, so I think if I say we're going to require an assistant, then that blows the doors off saying it can be, 1 to 5, 1 to 6. Because I'm saying, oh no, it's going to be 2 to 5, 2 to 6, and that's kind of the way I feel about it. But that's
Mm.
not what your proposal is. And let me just back up.
Okay. No, I appreciate your feedback nonetheless.
Yeah.
Jess, what do you got?
Yeah, thanks for sharing those numbers. I think that was super great that you pulled your all's ITs. I am curious though about the L4 level in particular not being so excited about the change of ratios, which makes sense to me in terms of L2, L3 being in water that like most people can probably swim themselves back out of, harder to rescue, multiple people if they're swimming in that L4 venue. And so I'm curious what you all considered, given that L4 demographic wasn't so excited about the numbers change, where all the other levels seem to support it.
Yeah, so I would say that's why we're open to that adjustment, is to saying if we want to keep the ratio for 4 as is, but again, the lift of 5 is the clearest, right? So
Yeah.
that the audience, I mean, speaking as an L5 instructor, it's not viable, right? There's a reason
Right.
there's not folks in different parts of the country. And working it up, like this whole thing started based off of the fact that the buddy system is I feel safer in a 1 to 4 than a 1 to 3. Because I can pair people up. I can have someone be accountable working with the other. Otherwise, I have to be the participant often.
Sure.
And I'm jumping in, and that means I'm not observing. I change
Yeah.
my role. I operate on the minimums as opposed to the maximums, so this is likely not going to affect me. So I would be in favor of that if the crew would like to vote on that one first. So I think that would be a good adaptation. It leans into tiered model, which was suggested. So we're open to that.
I hear that. And so I think what I'm asking is, because like I'm rafting committee, like we're all in the same boat. Or maybe 2 boats, with our students who are taking our ICWs. And so I hear that buddy system. And I think what I'm asking is that even though you had instructors who maybe weren't so keen on increasing those ratios, as an L5 IT, presumably you've got more experience than those L4 ITs. Are you saying like, well, we really think that it's actually in the end going to be a safer system because it is allowing people to potentially pair up, depending on whether or not courses fill, which we struggle with.
Yeah. It's certainly a great piece of feedback. And I mean, the thing across the board is people feel that with a group of candidates who have been assessed, who are in an instructor environment, showing that, again, they have a past assessment and they're being a professional, the concerns for me shouldn't be about being able to manage 6 people who are, eligible for being instructors. I totally feel confident, even at L4, as the IT level I am, in managing that. Again, I like the paired system for that reason. But, I'm also open to the feedback if folks feel like a 1-to-5 ratio is as max as folks can work. I may not agree with that. And again, it's a split, right? There are people who don't agree with it and there are people who do agree with it. And it's just kind of all these things are like, that's why I showed the numbers. There's going to be people who disagree with this. There's going to be people who agree with this. And at the end of the day, our committee voted on it unanimously at 1 to 6, 2 to 10, and then the 1 to 4, 2 to 6. So kind of
Yeah, I
leaving
think
this
by and
committee
large,
and you all's judgment too. Rachel, what do you got?
Sure. So a quick question and then a longer statement. So the quick question is, in the studies that you showed, it said there were N20. How many people, I assume that's how many people actually voted, not how many ITEs there are. So how many ITEs are there? Or is that what the 20 showed?
That's how many participate in the survey. Kelsey can speak to overarching how many river kayak instructors. I sent it to every single one who's in the registry. So they all got sent the survey, and that's how many decided to participate.
Yeah, I'm just curious how many didn't, and so what reflective that is. But I appreciate that you were able to reach out. I was just curious
Yeah,
of the
I just think
big number.
survey responses, I send emails to people, and I mean that this honestly was a better representation of a survey than I ever thought was possible. Asking this many questions and getting this kind of feedback, I thought it was actually a great response rate. But Kelsey would kind of be able to speak to more of how many there are. I have no idea, but getting 21 ITs felt pretty good to me.
Yep,
And
got it.
then
Okay,
plus
cool.
the entire committee, so the entire committee supporting it. So we have 20 ITs showing their vote and then a full committee voting unanimously. So
Yep, cool. And then the other thing is, I was hoping to go into a deeper discussion. I put a bunch of things in Slack, but I only saw that Alan commented on it. So kind of the subcommittees thinking similar to how Mike was, that at L1, L2, it kind of makes more sense. But as you get into L3, many of them felt personally that they wouldn't do it at in river or coastal kayak. We didn't even talk about sup, but in that reference, they would always want a second there. So we were a little bit more shy to be able to want to approve this. We did see that the leader guide had a 1 to 6 ratio and wanted to understand why that came to a 1 to 6 ratio. And I don't know that we have time to be able to answer all these tonight, but I was hoping to get answers before the meeting to be able to do it. And I know they mentioned the canoes being 1 to 6, but my understanding is that solo canoes is still only 1 to 5.
Correct.
For that. So it would be changing a bit of it. And I understand the assessment is there, but it still seems like it'd be a bigger risk that we would be allowing people take. So I'm not sure that we're committed to be able to say yes to that as part of the subcommittee. But thank
So
you
are
for
you
being
are you
able
speaking
to
behalf of your
offer
own
it.
ratios or river kayak? Just helping me clarify
River
what cut.
river kayak, but because many of us are also river kayak, but then also seeing like that other committees may join in, which I get it's individuals to decide, but it gets
Okay.
complicated when it's 1 to 5 here, 1 to 6 there. What does that look like? So the standardization, I think, is part of what we're thinking as well. And so for that, I don't know if this makes it too complicated. Like something we would be more comfortable with is if you did a 1 to 6, if someone is already certified at a higher level in another discipline. So for example, I know they have to do the assessment, but if they're an L4 SUP instructor taking an L3 kayak or an L4 canoe taking an L3 kayak, so that they're in another discipline, so they already have that experience at a higher level in that group management, maybe we would be okay with the 1 to 6 or piloting it in an update course. So if we changed it, if you're doing an update where they're already certified instructors, the ratio is 1 to 6 to see how that goes before we did it in an instructor course. So that's kind of where we lie in what we're doing. So I want to throw that forward.
Okay. Thank you. Jim?
Yeah, Kyle, I appreciate the effort that you and thought that the River Kayak Committee has put into this. And, I think as well that maybe as the votes came out from the from the L4 of wanting to keep it the same, that there may be some people who aren't taking into consideration the fact that now people won't have entry level into L4. The entry level is into L3 first.
Correct.
And so I think adding that extra person in to be able to make even numbers, is quite reasonable, especially because if there's an IT who is, let's say, voting to continue at 1 to 5, 2 to 10, there's nothing that says they can't do that. So, I think that all of those other votes, even though they didn't vote for 1 to 6, they can still continue doing. It doesn't affect them directly. They can still continue doing 1 to 5, or if they prefer 1 to 4, or whatever they happen to do, as long as they're not exceeding that. So I see no real issue in what you're doing. I think it was thoughtfully done.
Thank you. I mean, I think that's a big call out, and sorry if I skimmed those quotes too much, but someone did mention that, right? It gives me the ability to make that decision. And so for me, I feel 100% confident at doing a level 3 with 1 to 6. And with every L4 being an L3 already and passing an L4 assessment, I feel really confident at 1 to 6. But I'm willing to listen to the community if they're hesitant, but they haven't adopted this new model, right? Everyone's doing 4s first. So there is some carryover there. But what I'm willing to welcome is trying this model of L2, 1 to 6, L3, 1 to 6, L4, keep it at 1 to 5. And if we find that it's working really well, we can have another motion and expand this to 1 to 6. And then I see very clearly that L5 wants to go up. And again, that paired model and that venue, so again, it allows you to operate with judgment. And we validate our ITs, and if people are doing poor things, like, we can get them on that. But so I mean, my evangelism is to show you all the data points and what's there. I'm saying the ITs that we measured with are supporting the proposal, minus, again, leading with my suggestion going forward would be to do the 1 to 6 level 2, 1 to 6 level 3, 1 to 5 level 4, and then 1 to 4 level 5. And just throw the other one off the table. And if it proves to be very good and there's still appetite for that, then we can consider it at a future SEIC. But I'm willing to just accept that amendment right now, and then we can kind of put that on the plate. But any of these folks can use an assistant, as Mike suggested. I mostly am working on the minimum. So I don't have the luxury right now of having a 1 to 6, but I know that I feel confident in being able to do it. It seems like several of the other ITs seem to as well. And if they don't have to do it. So, yeah. Patrick, I see your hands raised.
Yeah, we just had a short discussion about that. In general, we said yes, why not? But then finally, in the end, it was the same discussions like you had with lower levels, L2, L3, ratio could be higher. As higher we go with the level, ratio could be lower, just about security reason, not money make reason, because handling in 1 to 6 in L5 is quite hard, or 1-5. So we discussed around that, and we will go on with those discussions. But like you mentioned, would be better that we have this ratio finally at the end all over in all disciplines, and not here this and there that, and that we have a chance that everyone has the same ratio. But that will start big discussions all over.
Thank you. Susan?
The Canoe Committee supports your idea. We like the 1 to 6 for both our skill classes and on our instructor classes, because we strongly feel that buddy system is very helpful, because when you get a canoe in trouble, it's a whole lot more hassle than when you get a kayak in trouble. So we appreciate that. But at the same time, I also support Mike Aronoff's statement about I would never teach a river class by myself. I would not. Never have, never will. I'll find somebody to help. Not, I wouldn't require it, but I would strongly recommend it. And I think we're going to try to write that.
Are you referring to a skills course, or are you referring to an instructor course?
Either. Both.
Okay. Just trying to make sure I got it clear. Thank you.
Everything. By too many what ifs to be alone.
Awesome. I see Kelsey's hand up, so I'm going to acknowledge her before you, Robin, because I just see a physical hand up too.
Well, I just wanted to say it's been a half hour of discussing this one, which is a quarter of the entire meeting. So whoever's got their hands raised now, I'd say your piece and then let's move forward to vote on this one, if everyone's okay with that.
Robin, what you got?
Sure. Two quick things. One, I was originally certified at L5 when it was 1 to 5, and we actually seem to go very well there. I would support going to 1 to 4 right now. Second is IPC chair. IPC has not discussed this, but I don't anticipate that there would be any opposition to going to 1 to 6 for our entry level courses. And I will try to bring that as an amendment or as a separate motion at our next meeting.
Thank you, Robin. All right, Surf Kayak Committee, we got Melinda.
Yeah, thanks. I get what you're saying. I also would not teach something by myself with that many people. So it does become a judgment thing, but I just have a concern about it being different for each of the different disciplines. And so my question is if you all discuss that. So I understand the questions were aimed at sort of your discipline, but if you all discussed the potential for confusion, I mean, people get very confused by the ratios and conditions and all kinds of things. And did you guys discuss that as part of your motion and the possibility of trying to have it be all disciplines up, all disciplines down in terms of changing the ratios?
We reached out to try and see if other folks would be on board with it. So that's why I emailed every chair about the proposal. And, certainly like we would welcome other folks to do this for the sheer sake of consistency. If you agree with the points I'm making, we want to proceed with it as a first mover because we believe confidently, specifically for this sport and for these instructor certification workshops, that it makes sense for us to make the move. There are other sports with other ratios. So not every sport is a 1 to 5 to 2 to 10. So we're not the only one moving, we're not the only one without a 1 to 5, 2 to 10. So that's, I guess, why we felt peace and be able to go forward with this. But I can't get committees to move. Like other committees got to discuss this and do what's right for them. And that's why I pitched it and would love for other folks to be on board. But to say that we're on board with saying we're going to wait until you all get the chance to vote, that might be an outcome of this meeting, but that was not our intention. So we'd love for an initial vote. If you all believe that you'd like to have every committee to align with what they'd like to do going forward, that is within your purview to do it. And I understand. But we would like to proceed forward if folks agree to voting on this motion. But I would, I did send an email for a reason. I'd love for more folks to do it. It isn't just unique to us. So we'd love to see other folks believe in this tiered model that I'm suggesting in the chat. John?
Yeah, we haven't discussed this at Coastal, but I'm certainly in favor of the even numbers for all the reasons that you stated, and I think your committee's done a good job at reaching out and getting feedback, from your ITs and ITEs. I'd be looking at 1 to 6 for L2 and L3, and then 1 to 4 at L4 and L5, just to keep the even numbers. That's what I'm going to look at for Coastal. We'll have a discussion on it.
Okay. Mike?
We have never, and I don't want us to require that an assistant be a certified instructor. Right now, an assistant can be based upon the judgment of the trainer. I would like to see a friendly amendment that would say for moving water courses that we strongly advise or request or suggest having an assistant. And again, I mean, I'm saying I won't do it any other way anyway, regardless of what you say. And like Sue's saying, she probably won't either. So does it make any difference? I don't want to vote no to rain on the parade, but I wonder if there could be a friendly amendment. But maybe it's changing it too much to say that there'd be a suggestion that there be an assistant on moving water or river courses and river kayak, probably river canoe as well.
Is that specific to a number you have in mind, or is that
no?
Even
Just
at the
I'll
minimums?
go along with whatever number you say. If it doesn't matter to me, it could be 1 to 6. It can be 2 to 10. I would want an assistant, whether it's 1 to 6 or 2 to 10. I'm going to have an assistant either way. I'm just thinking that a suggestion that you can't be. What we're talking about is when you do. I just sent a picture out You pin a 16-foot tandem canoe and you're alone by yourself with people that don't know much about doing the rescue on a 16-foot tandem canoe pinned in a class 1 rapid, let alone a class 2 or 3. It's a load. You really need somebody else to back you up.
Agreed. I'm just asking for clarification because if it's within the course, because it could be 3-person ICWs are minimums. So I'm not saying
just
against what you're
suggest it may be out of context. I'm just suggesting that there be considered a friendly amendment to make a statement that that the ACA strongly suggests, strongly recommends, however you want to word it, that there be an assistant on horses at these levels, and then it'll be up to the trainer to go, well, thanks a lot for your for your thought, but I'm not doing it. Okay. But it's a liability issue. We've got ACA insurance to think about as well.
So are you saying, just again, clarification, are there particular levels you have in mind for that? Or is it?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Well, I guess for me, it would be certainly would be level 3 and above. And personally, I would probably already have an assistant at level 2. I mean, it's a moving water. And as I said, you pin a tandem canoe in a class 1, it's still a big job for one person to deal with a bunch of folks that aren't clear on what to do. So we do not have assessments required, and I don't want them at level 2. So you could be out there like the Lone Ranger trying to figure out how the heck to move a 2,000-pound boat full of water that's wrapped around a rock like a taco. Never mind. But
I think you make great points, Mike. You're just like, I hope I'm not coming across dismissive, because if not, I agree with you. Like, having a second pair of hands does make it for a safer course if that's a qualified person. So I am just trying to debate having things not required and suggested, and putting that in official documentation and what the practices of that, because that's not something like we do that with, wilderness first aid. We recommend it. Trey, do you have any comments on kind of what's the discussion's been so far, to just kind of talk about proceeding forward?
I think that I think that everything has really been said at this point, and we can either table it or vote on it.
I'd like to say I think Mike makes a great point, although I think this is a larger item than a friendly amendment, because he's not speaking directly to this motion and its levels, its tiers itself. And I do think, Mike, that perhaps that suggestion might be applicable across all of these disciplines in their most dynamic environments. So that might be
yes, I agree.
better adopted a little bit later.
I like the conversation. So I would like to continue Mike's conversation with the committee. But I think the motion I would suggest moving forward with is, again, what I put in the chat: level 2 and level 3, 1 to 6, 2 to 10, level 4, 1 to 5, 2 to 10, which is there. I don't want to change that. I would rather not have this discussion be about reducing that ratio. So I'll just leave that untouched. And then level 5, 1 to 4, 2 to 6, endorsement 1 to 6, 2 to 10. So, and then we can do iteration on this, and feel how you feel about it. And I'll keep trying to improve it, guys. Like I hear all you're saying, so I'm sorry if my demeanor is just my face. So if you haven't figured out, I've spent time listening to ITs and ITEs, and I'm listening to you just the same, right?
All right. If no one has any other comments, we've talked this one into the ground, or talked it underwater, or whatever you want to call that. Because this motion came from a committee, it doesn't require a second, which means we can take a vote on it now. Please go to the voting spreadsheet and indicate your choice there. And this is as amended that Kyle put in the chat. This does not include the assistant part quite yet. Thank you, Trey. I got yours. Francesca, if you can hear me, and I see you got it, bro. You got it. All right.
Sorry, so can I just be super clear? So on L5, it's actually decreasing.
No, that's incorrect. It's increasing from 1 to 3, 2 to 6 to 1 to 4, 2 to 6.
Okay.
And that was the highest satisfaction one. So I feel confident about that one based on the L5 ITs. We had a pretty good representation there.
I just
I'll
want
go
to
to the chat.
ask, like, do you actually want to change the motion? Because your reasoning of why you were increasing the numbers was so that people could be in the buddy system, and then in like the most common water or L4 water, you're like taking away the possibility of the buddy system.
So L4, I think we're gonna have discussions about, I mean, because at the points that were made in this meeting, both 1 to 4 and 1 to 6 could be suggested. So I think we'll have to go back to that point, because either of those could be an option, and maybe we just need to go back to the drawing room and see whether the move makes sense to go to 1 to 4, keep it at 1 to 5, 1 to 6. So I'm just kind of
We need
leaving
to
it there.
stop the discussion. We're in the middle of voting, so.
Sorry.
But yeah, I hear your Jess, just next time we're gonna jump on that before we all start to vote, because we're not gonna change it since we've begun. But yeah, thank you. And if you want to abstain or oppose, that's perfectly fine. And again, River Kayak Committee, this can be brought forward again in the fall. If you make a change, then that's fine. About 13 years ago, the ratio for L5 was 1 to 5, and then it decreased to 1 to 3. So this is just showing evolution of the discipline of our curriculum and the standards we're holding, and that's all perfectly fine. And, you know, this group moves pretty efficiently when they want to change things, so it's totally fine. Alan, you're the last vote that I'm waiting on. Or you can just abstain if you're not ready. That's okay too.
I can. I'm sorry I came in late. I couldn't find the sheet to call up the voting sheet. Do you mind sending that in the chat? I apologize.
It's in the
Sorry, it is in the chat for you now. SEIC Vice Chair Alan, everybody who is joining us in.
I had a work issue, so apologize.
Okay, don't worry about it.
I know that feeling.
Anybody who makes an effort to be here, we really appreciate you. So while Alan does that, we have about 20 more minutes left in our evening. Thank you, Alan. I see you over there. So this motion passes 13 yays, 1 opposed, and no abstains right now. So thank you, River Kayak. Thank you for the immense amount of work and connections that you did to get this far. And of course, come back in the fall if you choose to change it again. No big deal. So we have about 20 more minutes, and I'd like to save the last 5 for any other feedback about the group. So for about 10, 13 minutes, we have 2 options. We can either discuss our instructor, leader, and trainer support questions that we earlier touched on. Kyle, that you taught about dues, Jess and Jim that you brought about language barriers and things. Or we can consider new motions from the floor if there are any. But I think that if there are any to be brought to the floor, if they are not quick and simple, we don't have time. So everyone decide what you want to do, or if anyone has a motion from the floor who wants to bring it up right now and thinks they can do it in 12 minutes, then that's that. Okay, hearing none. I've been taking minutes and doing all this. It's challenging. So on the agenda, we were going to have breakout rooms, but I'm not sure that is necessary at this point. I would just say we can open up the last bit of the meeting to additional comments about other gaps that you that you currently see or foresee in support of instructors and leaders and trainers. And I would like to brainstorm some ways to sustainably bridge those gaps, and just recognizing that this group, the staff, the board, we can't do everything all at once, and we have limited finances, and so not everything is something we can do. Let's pick a couple of things and prioritize those. Because I really, really appreciate all the feedback that came from the breakouts last meeting that led to this email campaign that has had tangible results. And I think we can do that again if we can prioritize. So, Melinda, you got your hand up. Or no,
can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Either Robert or you, could this sort of all of these ideas about the membership, could you maybe consolidate those to get to Robert so that in the conversation we're having with the finance committee about membership, that these conversations and comments could be a part of that conversation with Robert?
Yeah. So
Robert, does that make sense to you?
Yeah. This is being transcribed. I'm taking minutes. I'm going to give this report to you, Robert and Susan, afterwards, so you'll have it all in writing as well. But thank you.
Thank you.
I love that you cared. This is beautiful. Melinda.
And I really appreciate this conversation about the language barrier, because I have to deal with this all the time. So I do think it's a very large project. So I think we need to take the idea of that and put it aside for the moment, so that we can then come up with a plan for how we could research making that happen. But if there are other things, I think that's what we should take the time for. And then I would like to say something near the end. I don't know if you've explained about Krista. So.
Oh, I have not. Well, go ahead and say it now. We shall put the bag. Cat out of the bag. Cat's in the bag. Where's
Can I do it? Do you mind if I just, hi.
No,
So in terms of me representing the board, we're very often involved with the higher level employees. So Krista, our COO, has resigned. It's rather sad, but she's moving on to a job that was basically her all-time most perfect dream job. So it's very sad for us. It puts a higher burden on the rest of the staff again. And we will look to replace that COO position in the near future. Everybody needs to know that the board is always involved in that particular process because of the level of that employee. But you all need to know that Krista's gone. So that puts a greater burden on Beth again and on Kelsey and the rest of the staff. So it's unfortunate, but inevitable. Sometimes it happens, right? How do you say no to your dream job, right? But y'all should know that from me or Beth.
Thanks, Susan.
So Melinda has her hand up. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm muting, so stop.
Okay, go ahead, Melinda.
Yeah, so with the caveat that I am relatively new and don't know all the resources that are available, communicating with people is very tough. People are using Facebook pages and things like that. Tons of people are not using Facebook anymore. And so having a way that we could share materials, like if we have an instructor manual, things like that, but a way to kind of communicate with people in our discipline would be awesome. So the potential to have websites, things like that are ACA supported instead of going out on our own. So I'm sure there are lots of different ideas of how to do that, but anything that would help us to keep in better contact with our members, and we are a building committee, so we also have that not working in our favor. That would help us out a lot for sure.
Gotcha. Thank you. We'll continue to brainstorm this, but I want to tell you right off the cuff, anything that y'all want to say to your certified people, if you give me that content, it will get to them. And then Ben and I are in the process of building a page on the ACA's website for each individual discipline where they can post their news, their updates, their stories, their whatever. So there's one central place per discipline for that. So that's coming. But again, your feedback on how that should look, what should be first, all of that, I care what you think. So somebody come up with an idea, a draft, and then we'll work it. So thank you. Got it, Melinda. Jim, go ahead.
Just some more food for thought when we're talking about international memberships and fees, etc. I'll speak for Latin America, for example. People are often more economically challenged, and one of the biggest benefits, I believe, of being an ACA instructor and member is access to insurance, which being international instructors, none of them are. So I don't know whether it could be considered a two-tiered approach to membership and insurance. If that's one of the great membership benefits of being able to get insurance, but it's not extended to people internationally, are they really subsidizing everybody else or not? I'm not sure.
Okay, that's a good question. All right, I'm taking some notes. Okay. Thank you, Jim. I'll get back to you and what I know about those things. And if we continue to workshop it, then we can do that. John Browning, please go ahead.
Related to what Jim just mentioned, I recently found out that apparently if you are a US citizen living in another country, you are also not eligible for ACA insurance. ACA insurance is only available for US residents.
Correct.
I didn't know that.
Correct?
Okay.
This doesn't seem right to me.
And does that mean as a member, your insurance, or if you're trying to teach a class to be
Teach a
covered
class.
for insurance?
If you're teaching a class, even if you're teaching a class in the United States or in a territory of the United States, but you reside in, for example, Japan, and you're a
It
US
won't
citizen, you aren't eligible for insurance.
for the from the ACA. I get it.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's why I was just trying to clarify that. Thanks.
And the same to add to that, Suze, is that if you're a non-US citizen, the benefit of, one of the great things about the ACA is, hey, you can teach this course and you can be insured. But that's not the case for international instructors.
Thanks, y'all. I've written all these things down. Some of this is nuance that isn't necessarily in our control, but we will definitely circle back to it. So, John, I appreciate it. And Jim, thank you for your comments. I appreciate it too. Mike.
Two things. One is I have a pretty strong background in insurance, and it isn't anything that the SEIC department can deal with. It's going to go back to the insurance company to determine whether or not they're going to accept people that are non-US. They pretty much control that. We don't really control the insurance company. We're just glad we got them. The main thing that I wanted to say was I think there's a kudo, and this goes back to communications. I am so happy now that I've started using ACA insurance that now that when people sign up for membership, when they sign the waiver, that goes across the board to when we put them on a roster, that it shows that their waiver has been signed, and we don't have to download whatever waivers from them. And that's a huge plus. But I mean, I know it because I've just done 2 courses. And oh wow, isn't this great? Do other trainers know that? And
No,
if
because it
not,
just happened on Friday, Mike.
okay. Yeah. So I mean, my point is getting it back to communication. How can we get that? We want to get that out to people because it's really a big plus if you're involved in doing that. But anyway, so thank you.
The SEIC newsletter for this month. Yes.
All right. Bye.
What Mike is saying is that the liability waivers for the CMS for any current member are syncing from their membership signature on it. You don't have to upload a scanned copy. You don't have to sign it to CMS any longer. It transfers from your membership.
I've been having trouble with that showing up.
What do you mean?
Maybe we can follow up on that.
It just started.
Oh, okay.
It just started on Friday, last Friday.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Then that is wonderful news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. It's 8:53. I say that we all make one last, what did you like about this meeting and what did you learn? And then we will call it an evening, and I will make sure that all of these minutes, notes, recordings, and other things will be sent out so we can review, circle back to some of these topics and check in about those and continue prioritizing work. Is anybody opposed to that?
No.
Great. Well, Mike, you spoke first. So please say what you liked about this meeting, what you learned at the meeting, and then we'll move on to the next person to do it.
Yep. You asking me what I liked?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What I liked was the open discussion. And I think it was just really handled very well and very appropriately by the people making the proposals and, by you, Kelsey. I mean, you ran a really nice show here. You really did. So I like that. I guess I am somewhat disappointed in some of the missing people that I feel should have been present for this kind of a meeting, but I'll just leave that at that.
Did you learn anything during the meeting?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I learned the things that folks are concerned about that I nearly did because they don't necessarily affect me, that are important, but need to have some thought. And I appreciated seeing a review on river kayak, and I'm an L4 river kayak instructor and L3 ITE, but having a refresher on that was really good. So yeah, I I just like listening. I like listening to what Rachel had to say, what each of us had to say. I listened to it. Wow, cool. Made me think.
Beautiful, Mike. Susan, what about you?
Me?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
sorry. I said Susan. I'm sorry, Susan.
yeah, wrong Sue, I thought.
Sorry.
Let her go. Go, Suze.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, go.
So I talk a lot on the board about are we or are we not in alignment? In other words, is the board cohesive, maybe not in complete agreement, but cohesive in the direction that we're thinking for the organization? I would like to say that lately I've thought we are to some degree. I've had a few outliers there, but that's normal. But I am surprised to see that SEIC and all of you are thinking very much about the same things the board is thinking. And I think that is a credit to the way we're trying to keep those links open for communication, which I know you guys are challenged with communication, but I feel like that's a good thing. And I'm walking away from this feeling very positive. Maybe that we didn't solve everything, but that we're thinking in the same ways.
Beautiful, Sue. I love that. Thank you, Susan, your turn.
Okay, I learned a lot listening to all the different people and really enjoyed the discussion, but I honestly did not have much knowledge of the international issues, both linguistically and insurance wise and all that. So that's a big eye opener for me to think about that. And I know that on the canoe committee, we have quite a bit of the freestyle people in Europe and their issues and multilingual there and all. So it's a growing area to think about.
Read. Thank you. Jim, how about you?
To add to what Mike said about a bit of disappointment of some people not being on the meeting, I'd like to turn that around. That I do find it very supportive to have both Robert and Suze here on the call to hear what's happening out in the field, etc. And I just want to put one quick plug, Kelsey, that on the 25th of July is International or is World Drowning Prevention Day, and our committee has launched a program where we're attempting to instruct 1,000 people worldwide in drowning prevention and resuscitation. Currently, we have about 400 capacity pledged, and to be honest, with the formal pledges, they've all come from Latin America, Malaysia, Canada, and we're waiting for the US contingent to start putting their numbers in. But we're currently pledged at 400, which I think is really encouraging.
Jim, give
What
me
is
a
that
write-up
date?
about that. Give me a write-up.
Okay, yeah, so I'll send you information if there's anyone else who wants to get in on it. We're running a 2-hour clinic, the same that we did in Jalcomulco, Mexico in December, where there were 17 of us as ACA instructors a month, similar type of program, but spread throughout the world.
Yeah, well, if you help me write it up, I'll put it to all of our instructors to engage with you.
Super.
So I
Yeah, we can do that.
know what you want me to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Robert.
I enjoyed the conversation. I learned a lot, particularly about the international question. I would be interested in knowing the percentage of our instructors or instruction and certifications that are occurring outside of the country, because that would give additional support for really addressing that issue, which seems to be an important issue that just the normal mindset that we have, we tend not to focus on. So I found that very interesting, very important. As Sue's mentioned, we are looking at the membership. Also in that question, we're looking at annual subscription or an annual automatic pay, or where you're automatically subscribe each year to the on your for your payment, and so that's one of the things we're looking at. But we're looking at a very comprehensive on the membership, and I appreciate really Sue's overall presentation on what's at the board and what's going on in other councils, which I think is important. So it was a good meeting, and as Mike said, you ran a good meeting. So congratulations.
Thank you, Robin. Let's try to trim them a little bit. Melinda, you up?
Yep. So I appreciate having two names that I can call on about instructor manuals so that I don't have to make things up. And I appreciate that there was good discussion, but then the question was called so that the discussion ended. So I super appreciate that facilitation.
Thank you. I also wanted to say 16% of our certified instructors live outside of the US. Kyle.
I mean, the thing I appreciate is a few years ago, I said I was going to fall off his chair. I've missed many of these folks. I don't get to see you all as much. I haven't had as much life capacity to be part of here. So it's been very much a pleasure to get to see the greatest minds and this kind of stuff. Like I've missed you, but I said during that time, what I wanted to do is I wanted to reach out and connect with our instructors, ITs and ITEs more, and I feel good that I delivered on it. I was worried if I would, and to be able to bring their quotes, to be able to bring their votes, um, I don't know, it's felt very big deal to me because I didn't think I could do this. And the fact that an SEIC meeting had ITs, ITEs who aren't on my committee voicing their voices along with the committee, this group of people, and theirs, I just feel like that's a standard I wanted to have, as I wanted them to have a voice because there's a lot of displeasure in some of these things, and I can say, hey, we heard you, we brought your voices into this meeting, and I hope that can also increase some points for people like in the ACA, is because they participated and they got heard in this meeting. So thank you for that. In terms of what I learned, I just learned the power of that, of representing that. Mike has harped on me for a while about making sure I'm reaching out to these folks, and so I acknowledge Mike for challenging me to do a better job of connecting the committee to the community we support. So I learned the power of what we can do, Mike. So thank you for that challenge, and I'm glad to have at least delivered on it for this round.
Oh, thank you. Fantastic work. Jess, how about you?
Thanks everyone for the time and attention and thoughtful discussion. I think there was a lot about it that was super interesting, but I really appreciate Kyle, the like level of information that you brought. I think that's a really good example to all of us as we think about, changing things in our committee of like really polling the people who it's going to impact. And so I both learned a lot from that and found that super interesting. And thanks everyone for engaging in the way you did.
Thank you, Jess. Trey, your turn.
I learned that Jess has a dog, but it's a mystery because it's fuzzy. Um, and yeah, I think that it's really cool that there's this many folks that are excited to see all these disciplines grow. I think, from my world in the river kayaking committee, I feel like our discipline is incredibly young, whitewater paddling. I think that, what are we at, 60 years of it in the US, really? So it's neat to be here amongst all these folks that really care about providing good programming to students and making sure that like there's more people out there having fun on the river that can look after other people that want to have fun on the river or whatever venue it is. It doesn't have to be the river.
Thank you, Trey. Rachel, how about you?
I'll echo that I like the discussions, especially as we're in a newer term, so people are just getting used to everybody. So having those discussions was awesome at an early part of the term. And then I learned that there is a video available for the PFD removal, and I look forward to getting that from Jim.
Thanks, Rachel. Jeff, how about you?
I'm sorry to be late joining, but it was great to hear all the discussion happening with everybody. So enjoyed that. Love to see the progress that we make, that we don't get stuck in just one mindset, thinking that this is the only way something can ever be done forever, because that gets stale. And but I do appreciate the fact of we're having a lot of discussion on the international thing, because as we're working a lot more internationally and having a lot more international interest, I think this is very relevant, and it's a great problem to have. That means we're growing, and we're growing globally, so which is an awesome issue to do. And something new I learned was the insurance situation and the good and the bad and the ugly of that. I mean, it was like I was under the impression that we could not teach internationally right now and get a class insured. So, um, it's true there's issues with it, but it's something new I learned that we can do. It was great.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Part of that was very well said. I appreciate. Gosh, okay, I'm wasting time. Alan, go for it.
Cheers. Yeah, once again, I'm sorry I was late. We had an instructor get injured a couple of days ago, so there have been some downstream consequences. But I wish I could have been here for this whole meeting. This seems like a really vibrant one, and these are discussions that I was interested in, and I'm sorry that I wasn't able to see most of them. I'm going to go back and watch the recording. I was particularly interested to think about and chime in for Kyle's proposal, but yeah, so more discussions to be had on that for sure. What I learned, I similarly with Jeff, I learned some things about the way the insurance worked, and I was under the impression that if it was a citizen thing, not where you were addressed issue, but that was new for me. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alan. John, forgive me, I don't remember if you've already spoken.
Yeah. Yeah, good discussion. I really appreciate River Kayak bringing up the ratio thing. I think there's a lot to be looked at there for other disciplines as well, including coastal. And the conversation on insurance, we brought it up. I think it's good. And just a lot of good energy. And thanks, Kelsey, for the statistics that you provided on where we're falling short and where we're advancing. So that's always good to know. So, and a well-run meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here, John, and having so many comments across so many disciplines. It's evident that everybody here cares very much, but I appreciate you taking the time to articulate all of that. I believe Melinda already spoke. How about Francesca?
Oh, I appreciate the discussion. It's all new for me, so that's my new thing. That seeing how this works and how a meeting is run, seeing as I just had to step in for John. And I appreciate that there is growth in the ACA and that we're trying to see where we are lacking and trying to grow from that and trying to learn from that.
Thank you for taking the time to be here and checking it all out while Joff was away. Patrick, what about you?
Sorry for the video. Somehow it was working. So, thanks, Kelsey, for all the work, especially again for this list about lack of memberships and why and whatever. I just give you a short brief back what was going on in Europe the last 15 years. When we had a division Europe, which collapsed and is not existing anymore, which was really pushed by Christech, we had about, let's say, 300 valid instructors in Europe all over. The division collapsed, and let's say we are close to zero or just around 50. We lost a lot. The insurance question on that time, Christech was on there working finding some solution for Europe because he said and mentioned we do not have a possibility for the insurance because we are not US citizen. We tried in Europe to find a known insurance, which was quite hard and not possible because every country in Europe has its own law. And even if we have European Union and non-state and states which are not in European Union, they do not accept crossover insurance. So finally, in the end, that collapsed, and that's our information still in Europe that we do not get an insurance because we are not American or we are outside of the United States. So if that is not correct, it would be great to inform everyone. It's really good. And the other thing, and the last one for the motions and all that, in Europe, we do have a lot of people which want to go to leader and guide, but we have the main problem in Europe. Everyone is doing Rescue 3. And we do not have the possibilities to do L2 or 3 rescue assessments. So if you want to push the leader and guide program in Europe, and we want to win members and all that, we have to find a solution how we can bring SRT1 advanced from Rescue 3 in our policy. That's If you like, you can have a Zoom with me, Kelsey or Zeus, about that from the endurance stuff and all in Europe, that we can clarify that a little bit, because that was a big issue also in Europe, losing instructors.
Yeah, I can see that. And I'm not saying that we have a solution, but I think it raises, could we go after looking what a solution could be for international instructors? And maybe we got to come up with an out of the box sort of solution, but I cannot pretend to say that I have a fix. But when I travel internationally, now I get an insurance policy to cover myself for things. So there's got to be a way that we could look at it. I would think that there's got to be a way. We're just not thinking like that, but it might, I wonder if because we're now a national governing body, if that could potential on the competition side, if maybe there's some options there for us to create a relationship somehow with different countries. I don't know. I have no idea. It's not a quick fix, but I definitely want to understand it better. I think Robert's going to want to understand it better, and we'll have to talk to Beth to see what we can figure out. Because the world is constantly, we're a global world, right? And we're saying we want to go back to being a more global instructor community. So let's figure out what we can do there, right? I don't know. I don't have an answer yet, but I appreciate everything you just told me, Patrick.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Right. Thanks, Suze. Thank you, Patrick. Robin, I believe you're the last one.
Okay.
Unless I've missed someone else.
Yeah. I appreciate the effort that went into producing the data that was given here. Both you and Kyle put a lot of effort into getting actual numbers out for us to work with, and that makes decision making better. And I learned that not surprisingly, we all share the same concerns, and these meetings are a good opportunity to remind that and to work on common themes. So thanks everybody for being here.
All right, Robin, thank you. Did I miss anybody?
Can I close with a story? Short one? Short. I'll keep
As
it
long
short.
as at the end of your story, you make a motion to adjourn.
Yes. It's very short. I co-taught my first swiftwater rescue class this past weekend. We had 17 students between the two of us. We taught things. This is my first time doing it. I taught a whole segment on wading because of motions that were created in this meeting. That's why I went and taught for this weekend, is because of motions from this meeting. I taught those skills. Hour later, we had 2 or 3 people, I can't remember, it's 2 or 3, who were in rescue situations just downstream of my students on a quarter-mile run. They, without the instructors, rescued those people. Because of what we do here, because of these meetings, the time spent in Zoom, and I just appreciate you all for providing me these chances to provide meaning to my life. For the safety and rescue folks for doing what you do. We saved lives, we saved traumatic moments, we allow people joy. And I just wanted to share that with you all, that these times in Zoom meetings have led to people having better lives. And so I thought it'd be very fitting, as this happened last weekend, to acknowledge you all, because I don't get to come to these meetings very much, that what we do here means something. And I just appreciate you all a lot for what I've gotten from it. So thank you. And a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Gotcha. All right. 9:13. Thank you for staying a few minutes later so everyone had a chance to voice their commonality and some of their other concerns. Robin, what do you usually say at the end of these things? If you vote yes, hang up.
All in favor, hang up.
Yes,
That's Sam folks. So,
yes. But thank you all. I
good night,
really, really
everybody.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks.